What you think, do, or feel is a sign of who you are. This audiobook will show you why. Power comes from having energy. That's why all the faiths, studies, and beliefs the world has known so far have been based on how this energy shows up, instead of on the energy itself. So far, the world has only looked at the results and not at the reasons, which have been ignored or misread. In faith, we have God and the devil. In science, we have positive and negative. In philosophy, we have good and bad. The master key turns things around. It is only interested in facts. The letters from students are full of wonderful stories that prove beyond a doubt that these students are on the right track to achieving health, peace, plenty, and everything else they need for their own well-being and pleasure. Life is expressive, and it's up to us to make it expressive in a way that is positive and peaceful. We don't need pain, sorrow, misfortune, sickness, or hunger, and we can always get rid of them. This process of removal, on the other hand, goes far beyond any kind of limit. People who have improved and cleaned their thoughts don't have to worry about germs, and people who understand the law of wealth will go straight to the source of supply. That way, you'll be able to control luck, chance, and fate, just like a captain controls his ship or an engineer controls his train. Part 1. The Eye. What you see with your eyes is not your body. Your body is just a tool that the eye uses to do its job. The mind is just another tool that the eye uses to think, reason, and make plans, so the eye can't be the mind. If you look at something, your eye, it controls and guides your body and mind, telling them what to do and how to act. You will feel powerful like you've never felt before when you know what this eye is really for. The things that make up your identity are your traits, habits, and features. These come from the way you used to think and have nothing to do with the real I. When you say, "I think," your eye tells your mind what you may think. When you say, "I go," your eye tells your body where to start moving. Being spiritual is what this eye really is, and it's where real power comes from for both men and women when they understand what they really are. The ability to think is the best and most amazing power that this eye has given you, but not many people know how to think properly or effectively, so they don't get things done. The natural state of a childish mind is for people to let their thoughts wander to selfish things. A mind that has grown up knows that every selfish thought is a seed of failure. A well-trained mind knows that all business must be good for everyone involved, and that anyone who tries to make money off of someone else's weakness, stupidity, or need will always lose. This is because each person is a part of the whole. No one can be against another group. Instead, everyone's well-being relies on everyone seeing what's best for everyone else. The people who understand this idea are very successful in life. There is no bragging about them. They can get rid of hazy thoughts with ease. They can focus on any subject to the fullest. They don't waste time or money on things that don't help them. If you haven't put in the work to do these things, you won't be able to. So far, it's time to put in some work. The result will be exactly equal to the work that was put in. A powerful statement that can help you get what you want is, "I can be what I choose to be." Know who and what this I is every time you say it. Do your best to fully understand what the I is really like. If you do that, you will become unbeatable, as long as your goals and intentions are positive and in line with the universe's creative principle. If you choose to use this statement, say it every morning, every night, and whenever you think of it during the day until it becomes a part of you. Make it a habit. It's better not to start until you do this. This is because modern psychology tells us that when we start something and don't finish it, or make a promise and don't keep it, we actually become failures. Do not start something if you do not plan to do it. If you start, don't stop, even if the sky falls. Do what you choose to do. Do not let anyone or anything get in the way. The I inside you has made up its mind. The deal is official. There is no more talk. Start with small things that you know you can handle and slowly make the effort harder if you want to follow through with this idea. No matter what, though, you should never let your E be ignored. Over time, you'll be able to keep yourself in check. A lot of men and women have learned the hard way that it's easier to run a kingdom than to run their own lives. In the end, though, when you learn to control yourself, the inside will guide the outside. You won't be able to stop yourself. People and things will do what you want without you having to do anything. It's not as strange or impossible as it might seem. Remember that the I controls the inner world, and that this I is connected to and part of the endless I, which is the universal energy or spirit that most people call God. There is more to this than just a statement or theory made to support or create an idea. The best religious and science thinkers have both agreed on this fact. Herbert Spencer said, "Of all the mysteries that surround us, nothing is more certain than that we are always in the presence of an infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed." Lyman Abbott spoke beautifully to the graduates of Bangor Theological Seminary and said, "We are coming to think of God dwelling in man rather than working in man from without. Science looks for things and then stops. Science finds the eternal energy that is everywhere. Religion looks for the power behind this energy and finds it in people. But this isn't really a new finding. The Bible says the same thing, and it says it in very clear, specific wording that makes sense. Knowest thou not that thou art the temple of the living God? This is the key to the inner world's amazing ability to create. For those who want to master power, here it is. Giving up everything is not the same thing as excelling. Giving up is not success. We can't help others unless we have strength. It's easier to run a kingdom than to run their own lives. In the end, though, when you learn to control yourself, the inside will guide the outside. You won't be able to stop yourself. People and things will do what you want without you having to do anything. It's not as strange or impossible as it might seem. Remember that the I controls the inner world, and that this I is connected to and part of the endless I, which is the universal energy or spirit that most people call God. There is more to this than just a statement or theory made to support or create an idea. The best religious and science thinkers have both agreed on this fact. Herbert Spencer said, "Of all the mysteries that surround us, nothing is more certain than that we are always in the presence of an infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed." Lyman Abbott spoke beautifully to the graduates of Bangor Theological Seminary and said, "We are coming to think of God dwelling in man rather than working in man from without. Science looks for things and then stops. Science finds the eternal energy that is everywhere. Religion looks for the power behind this energy and finds it in people. But this isn't really a new finding. The Bible says the same thing, and it says it in very clear, specific wording that makes sense. Knowest thou not that thou art the temple of the living God? This is the key to the inner world's amazing ability to create. For those who want to master power, here it is. Giving up everything is not the same thing as excelling. Giving up is not success. We can't help others unless we have strength. The number infinity is not broke, and neither should we be, since we are the symbols of infinite power. And if we want to help other people, we need more and more power. But we have to give it to get it. We have to be helpful. We will get more if we give more. We need to become a way for the universe to speak through us. The universe is always trying to be heard and helpful, and it's looking for the way it can be most active, where it can help people the most, and where it can be of the most service to them. You can't let the world speak through you while you're busy with your own plans and goals. Relax your senses and look for ideas. Focus your thoughts on yourself and live in the knowledge that you are one with all power, until the watering goes deep. Think about the many spiritual possibilities you have access to, because power is everywhere. Picture the situations, events, and conditions that these psychic relationships can help make happen. Being aware of the fact that everything is spiritual and that the spiritual is real is important. It is the life in everything. If the spirit is gone, there is no longer any life in it. It is dead. These mental actions happen in the inner world, which is the world of causes. The conditions and events that happen as a result are the effects. This is how you become a maker. It's important work, and it's the best, most perfect idea you can think of. It will be the work that matters the most. Apathy and mental dullness are caused by too much work, fun, physical exercise, or anything else. Of course, this means that the more important work that leads to aware power can't be done. Because of this, we need to look for silence often. Power comes from being still. When there is silence, we can be still, and when we are still, we can think, and thought is the key to everything. While light and electricity move, thought moves in a rhythm and is kept going by the law of vibration. It gives life based on feelings through the law of love and takes shape and form based on the law of growth. Because it comes from the spiritual eye, it is holy, spiritual, and artistic. It's clear from this that emotions must be used to give thought form so that it can be expressed in order to show power, abundance, or any other positive goal. How is it possible to reach this goal? This is the most important point. How can we have hope, courage, and feelings that will help us succeed? The answer is through workouts. It works the same way for mental strength as it does for physical strength. When we work out, we think, though it might not be the first time. It gets easier every time we think about the same thing. This time, we keep thinking about it. After that, it turns into a thought habit. We keep thinking the same thing over and over until it starts to happen on its own. We just can't stop thinking about it. No doubt about it. We are sure. We know. These thoughts are making us feel good. I told you to calm down and let go physically last week. I'm going to ask you to let go this week. As long as you did the exercise from last week for 15 to 20 minutes every day, you can definitely rest. It's important to note that someone who can't do this quickly and fully is still a slave to their situations and is not free. Let's say, that you're done with the exercise and ready for the next step, which is mental freedom. This week, after getting into your normal position, let go of all your stress by resting fully. Then, let go of all negative feelings in your mind, including hate, anger, worry, jealousy, envy, grief, irritation, or any kind of sadness. You might say you can't let go of these things, but you can. You can do that by making up your mind to do it, by being determined and persistent. There are people who can't do this because they let their feelings take over instead of their mind. The win will go to those who are led by their minds. You won't be successful the first time you try, but as with everything else, practice makes perfect, and you must be successful in getting rid of those negative and destructive thoughts for good, because they are the seed that is always growing in situations that aren't going well. There is nothing more true than the way our thoughts are connected to certain parts of the outside world. This is the law that can't be broken, and it is this law, this connection of thought with its object, that has led people to believe in special providence since the beginning of time. Question and answers from Wilmans's Study Guide, Part 1. What do you think? Thoughts are divine power. How does it stay going? The law of vibration keeps it going. How is good health given? Because love is the law. How does it come together? Because of the way things grow. How does it have the power to make things? It's a meaningful thing to do. How can we get the faith, courage, and drive that will help us succeed? By being aware of our inner nature. How do you get power? Customer service. Part 2 of the introduction. If you read this part carefully, you will understand that all forces, objects and facts are caused by the mind at work. The mind works through thought, and thought is creative. Men are thinking in ways they have never thought before. Because of this, we live in a creative age, and the world is giving the most valuable gifts to those who think. Matter is inactive and doesn't do anything. The mind is fuel, power, and force. Mind bends and guides matter. Every shape that matter takes is just a representation of a thought that was already there. Mind, on the other hand, doesn't change things magically. It follows the rules of nature. It moves natural forces and frees natural energies. It shows up in the way you act and behave. These things finally have an effect on your friends and acquaintances, and then they have an effect on everything around you. You can think thoughts, and since thoughts are creative, you can make things happen for yourself. Part 2. Being able to use your inner mind is very important because at least 90% of your mental life is hidden from you. If we know how to guide it, our inner mind will answer any problem for us. There are always things going on in the mind. The only question is whether we are to be silent consumers of this action, or participants who are aware of and able to guide it. Will we be able to see where we want to go? Will we stay away from the risks, or will we just go with the flow? It has been found that the mind fills every part of the body and can always be guided or influenced by the power that comes from the mind's main purpose. It's because genes, which are passed down from generation to generation, have a big impact on the mind, which is made up of living things that are sensitive and always changing. When we understand this fact, we can use our power to stop any bad trait of our character from showing up. We can consciously use all the good traits that have been given to us, and we can block and stop the bad traits from showing up again. Our mind is made up of a lot of different things, some of which are genetic, and some of which are learned at home, at work, and in our social circles. These places have given us a lot of different views, ideas, beliefs, and similar thoughts. A good deal of this came from other people in the form of comments, ideas, or views. A lot of it comes from the way we think, but most of it has been accepted without much or any thought or care. The idea looked like it should be praised. Our conscious mind took it in, and it was accepted in the subconscious. There, it was picked up by the sympathetic system and built into our bodies. The word came to life. In this way, then, we are always making new versions of ourselves. We are what we thought about yesterday, and we will be what we think about today. It's not the things we want or the things we think someone else has that the law of attraction brings to us. It's our own things that we have made with our thoughts, whether we are aware of it or not. Sadly, a lot of us are making these things without realizing it. Think about how careful we would be if we were making a house for ourselves. We would study every detail, take good care of the materials, and only choose the best of everything. But look how careless we are when we build our mental home. This is much more important than any physical home, because everything that can happen in our lives rests on the materials we use to build our mental home. What kinds of things does this stuff have? We've seen that it comes from memories we've saved deep in our minds. If these thoughts were ones of fear, unease, worry, or anxiety, or if they were negative, depressing, or uncertain, then the material we are making today will have the same negative feel to it. It will be broken and rotten instead of valuable, and it will only make us tired, worried, and anxious. We will spend a long time fixing it up and making it look at least nice. But what happens if we only think brave thoughts, if we are hopeful and positive, and if we immediately put any negative thought in the refuge pile and refuse to have anything to do with it, to associate with it, or to identify with it in any way? The things we think about now are the best kind. There is no fear or worry about the future because we know the structure is hard, the material is solid, and it won't fade. We can make any kind of material we want and use any color we want. There aren't any changes or things to hide. This is a fact about psychology. We don't have a theory or an idea about how these thoughts work. They are not a secret. In fact, anyone can understand them because they are so easy. There is something we should do every day to keep our minds clean. Wash them. If we want to make progress, we need to clean up our minds, our hearts, and our bodies. The material that is left over after this process of mental cleaning will be good for creating the ideas or mental pictures that we want to come true. There is a beautiful farm with lots of space, food, running water, and good trees just waiting to be claimed. There are empty fields all around. The house is big and bright, with beautiful paintings, a full library, lavish details, and all the comfort and luxury you could want. In order to use the land, his relatives only need to prove their right to it and take control of it. He needs to use it. He can't let it go bad. The condition that must be met is to use it. If you ignore it, you'll lose it. Power over the mind and heart. Dominion over useful power. You have a gift like that. You're the winner. You have the right to claim your property, own it, and use it. One of its benefits is power over your situation. In your balance, health, peace, and wealth are all good things. It brings peace and balance. To get its great benefits, all you have to do is study it. It doesn't ask for any sacrifices other than giving up its limits, bonds, and weakness. It gives him an honorable robe and a staff. There are 3 steps that must be taken to get this gift. He has to really want it. He needs to back up what he said. He needs to take the property. You have to agree that these conditions are not bad. You know what genetics is and how it works. A lot of proof has been gathered by Darwin, Huxley, Haeckel, and other experts that genetics is a rule of evolution. Progressive genetics gives people their straight back, their ability to move, their digestive systems, their blood flow, their brain strength, their muscle strength, their bone structure, and many other physical skills. There are even more interesting facts about how mental strength is passed down. All of this is what you could call his human legacy. Scientists haven't found the lineage yet, though. It comes before and sits below all of their studies. At one point, they give up and say that they can't describe what they see. This gift from God is now fully operational. The first creation was ordered by a good force, which is a live feeling that comes from the Holy Spirit that is in everything. Scientists haven't been able to make life, but this does. It sticks out from all other great forces and can't be reached. It's like nothing people have ever seen. It's the highest level of human experience. This never-ending flow of life goes through you. It's you. Your access is made up of the things that make up your mind. The key to power is to keep these doors open. Isn't it worth the trouble? The great truth is that you are the source of all life and power. People, situations, and events may point out needs and chances, but you have the inner strength and power to meet these needs. Stay away from lies. Set up a strong base for your knowledge of the forces coming straight from the endless source, which is the global mind of which you are a copy. The people who have this gift will never be the same again. They now feel powerful in a way that they never thought possible. They will never be shy, weak, unsure, or scared again. They are inextricably linked to power. They woke up in some way. They all of a sudden realized that they have a huge hidden ability that they had no idea they had. We have this power inside us, but we can't get it unless we use it. To use it is a requirement for having this property. Every one of us is a way for the all-powerful power to show itself. The channel gets blocked if we don't use it, so we can't get anything else. On every level of existence, in every job, and in every calling in life, this is true. We get more when we give more. Athletes who want to get stronger use the strength they already have. The more they put in, the more they will get back. If an investor wants to make more money, he or she must spend the money they already have. Only by doing this can they make more money. A business owner who doesn't keep up with sales will soon have no money coming in. The company that doesn't provide good service will quickly lose clients. A lawyer who can't get things done will soon lose clients. So it goes everywhere. Power depends on how well we use the power we already have. This is true in every area of life and in every undertaking. It is the truth of the power that all known power among men creates spiritual power. What's left when you take away the spirit? There's nothing. If spirit is everything, then knowing this will give you the power to show all kinds of power, mental, physical, or spiritual. Everything you own is the result of your money awareness or collected mental attitude. This is the magic wand that will help you get the idea and make plans for how to carry them out. You will enjoy carrying them out just as much as you enjoy the happiness of completing them. Now go to your room, sit in the same position and seat as before, and mentally choose a spot that feels good to you. Picture it in your mind in full. Look at the houses, the trees, the area, your friends and family, and everything else. The first time you try to focus, you will think of everything but the thought you want to think about. Don't let this stop you, though. You will win in the end. But if you want to be persistent, you have to do these routines every single day. Part 2 of the study questions and answers. How much of our mind is made up of the subconscious? 90% or more. Does this huge brain storehouse get used often? No. What's the harm? The fact that they can consciously control it is something that not many people understand or value. From where did the conscious mind get its tendency to rule? From genetics, which means it comes from all settings, going back many generations. What does the law of attraction mean for us? Ours. What's ours? What we are at our core, and we are the result of our most recent thought, whether it was aware or not. What are the things that we use to build our mental homes? About the thoughts we have. How do you get power? The realization that power is everywhere. Where does it come from? There is life and power inside. What does the ownership of power depend on? Upon making good use of the power we already have. Here is the third and final part of the introduction. This part will teach you a lot about the most amazing machine ever made. This machine can help you build health, strength, success, wealth, or anything else you want. Having needs means you have to do something, and when you do something, you get a result. Our tomorrow is always being built from the present through the process of change. Both general and individual growth happen slowly and steadily with growing ability and volume. We know that if we break other people's rights, we will feel bad about it and get in trouble. Every moment is a sign that you need to focus on the best goal, which is doing the most good for the most people, wishing for things to go well and keeping relationships peaceful all the time will lead to results. Attachment to wrong ideas is the biggest problem. To connect with infinite truth, we need to be at peace with ourselves and be able to accept knowledge. The listener needs to be tuned in to the sender. Even though the mind is creative and thought comes from the mind, this doesn't mean that the world will change how it works to fit our ideas or needs. It means that we can live in harmony with the world. Once we do this, we can ask for anything we deserve, and it will surely come to us. Part 3. That the universal mind is so great that it's hard to grasp all of its powers, options and effects that are endless. We've found that this mind is not only all knowledge, but also all matter. Then how does it get made? How can we make the impact we want happen? And if you ask an electrician what electricity will do, he will tell you that electricity is a form of energy, and what it does depends on what it is tied to. This part of the machine will determine whether we get heat, light, force, music, or some other amazing power show where this important energy has been used. What kind of effect can thought have? There is only one answer. Thought is mind in action, just like wind is air in action. What it does depends on what it is tied to. So, this is the key to mental power. It has everything to do with the system we connect ourselves to. What kind of system is this? Do you know anything about the way that Edison, Bell, Marconi, and other electrical geniuses made place, space, and time into just words? But have you ever thought that the limitless potential power, which you can use to change the world, was created by a more important person than Edison? We are used to looking at the mechanisms of the tools we use, like tilling the land, and the mechanisms of the cars we drive. But most of us are happy to stay completely ignorant of the best mechanism that has ever existed, the human brain. Let's look at how amazing this system is. That way, we might be able to better understand the different effects it has. Our minds are the first place where we live, move, and have our being. This all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-present world will react to what we want based on our faith and purpose. The goal has to be in line with the way we are, which means it has to be artistic or productive. Our faith has to be strong enough to create a current of force that is strong enough to make our goal come true. Be it done according to thy faith is a sign of scientific truth. What happens in the outside world is caused by what each person does and how they respond to the universe. This is what we mean when we say think. The brain is the part of the body that does this. Think about how amazing it is. Are you moved by the creativity of old or new ideas, music, flowers, books, or other things? Remember that before you can recognize beauty, your brain has to match it up with something else that is beautiful. It is impossible for the brain to describe any value or principle that it finds in nature. In its early stages, the brain is like a world that is ready to grow whenever it is needed. You will find it easier to understand how these amazing things are happening if you know that this is a science fact and one of nature's wonderful rules. People say that the nervous system is like an electrical circuit, with the white matter being the shielded lines that carry the current and the bank of cells being where the power comes from. This is how every urge or wish gets through the mechanism, through these pathways. Messages go to and from the brain through the spinal cord, which is also a major nerve road. That's where the blood that runs through our veins and arteries comes from. Blood gives us new energy and power, the perfectly organized structure that the body sits on, and finally, the lovely, delicate skin that covers the whole thing is a wonderful thing. So, this is the temple of the living God, and the person gave up power, and the outcome will depend on how well you understand the process it controls. The brain cells work on everything you think. In the beginning, the thing that the thought is aimed at doesn't react, but if the thought is clear and focused enough, the material will finally answer and show itself correctly. Any part of the body can be affected by this mental force, which gets rid of any bad results. In business, having a great idea of and understanding of the rules that guide the thinking world is very valuable, because it improves your ability to judge things and makes it easier to understand and value facts. The man who looks inside rather than outside can use the strong forces that will eventually decide his path in life and bring him into vibration with everything that is best, biggest, and most desirable. Focusing or paying attention is likely the most basic and important skill for mental growth. The potential of attention when used correctly are so amazing that someone who isn't familiar with them would think they are impossible. The most important skill anyone can learn is how to pay attention, which is something that all successful people have in common. The best way to understand the power of attention is to think of it as a magnifying glass. As the glass moves and the rays go from one place to another, They don't have any particular force. But if you hold the glass absolutely still and let the light focus on one point for a while, you will see the result right away. The same is true for thought power. If you move your thinking from one thing to another, the power seems to go away, but nothing happens. But pay attention to or concentrate on any task for a while, and nothing will be able to stop this power. A very easy answer to a complicated problem, I would say. Okay, give it a try. If you have never learned to focus your mind on a clear object or purpose, pick any object and focus your attention on it for 10 minutes, focusing on a clear goal. This is not possible. 12 times the mind will wander, and you'll have to bring it back to the original goal. Each time, the effect will be gone. Not being able to keep your mind on the goal will mean that you will have accomplished nothing by the end of the 10 minutes. If you pay attention, though, you will finally be able to get past any problems that come up in your way. And practicing is the only way to get this great power. It works the same way as anything else. Practice makes perfect. Bring a picture to the same seat in the same room, in the same position as before, to work on your attention power. Spend at least 10 minutes looking at it very carefully. Look at how the eyes are moving, the shape of the face, the clothes, and the way the hair is styled. In short, pay close attention to every feature in the picture. Put your hands over it, close your eyes, and try to picture it in your mind. You should feel proud of yourself if you can see every feature clearly and make a good mental picture of the picture. If not, do it again until you can. This step's only goal is to get the ground ready. We'll be ready to plant the seed next week. By doing these kinds of routines, you will finally be able to manage your mood, your attitude, and your state of mind. The smartest investors are learning to stay away from the crowd more and more so that they have more time to plan, think, and get in the right frame of mind. Business people who are already successful are always showing that it pays to follow what other successful business people are thinking. One good idea could be worth a lot of money, but it can only come to people who are open to it, ready to receive it, and feeling good about their chances of success. Mankind is learning how to harmonize with the mind of everyone else. The lesson is that everything is connected. They are learning basic ways to do things and how to think, which is changing things and getting more results. It seems that your surroundings and situations move in the same way as your mental and spiritual growth. You are learning that knowledge leads to growth, action leads to inspiration, and vision leads to chance. Always put your spiritual needs first, and then change into an endless number of success opportunities. These options are endless, because each person is the way the universe shows itself to the world. It's through thought that we can take in the core of power and hold it in our minds until it becomes part of our everyday minds. This can be done by following a few simple rules that are taught in this system over and over again. The master key is what opens the storehouse of universal truth. At the moment, illness and mental stress are the two main causes of human pain. Some natural law has been broken, which makes these things very clear. This is definitely because of the fact that we only know some things right now. But the dark clouds that have built up over hundreds of years are starting to lift, and many of the bad things that come with false information are going away with them. If you know the power of right thought, you know that a man can change himself, get better, rebuild himself, take charge of his surroundings, and be in charge of his own life. In part 3 of Positive Action, Larson looks at study questions and answers. What are some things that electricity, heat, light, energy, and music can do? What does it depend on for these effects? On the device that the power is hooked up to. What happens when each mind acts and interacts with the world, the things that happen to us, and the experiences we have? How can changing the way the world is made be used to change these situations? What kind of system is this? The mind. For what reason can the way we think change it? Thoughts make brain cells, and these cells react to a thought in the world that matches them. How much is the ability to focus worth? It's the most important skill you can learn and what sets successful people apart. How can someone get it? By doing the tasks in this method on time. Why is this important? Because it will help us manage our thoughts, and since thoughts are what cause things to happen, situations are what happen as a result. There is a link between what we do and what happens. What does it mean in the real world to change conditions and increase results? Men are learning the basics of how to think in a healthy way. Part 4 of the introduction. People have always thought that there is an unseen power that makes everything happen and keeps the universe going. We could give this power a name and call it God, or we could think of it as the spirit or energy that runs through everything. As far as the individual is concerned, the result is the same either way. What is real, physical, and obvious is what is personal and what he can feel. His body, brain, and nerves make it up. The spiritual, the unseen, and the indifferent are all parts of the subjective. Because it is a physical thing, the personal is aware. The abstract, which is the same kind and quality as everything else, is not aware of itself, which is why it is called the subconscious. This means that the personal or awareness has the power of will and choice, and it can use selection when picking the ways it solves problems. The spiritual or abstract being that is part of and one with the source and root of all power can't make a choice because it has all the resources it needs. There are ways that it can and does get things done that the human mind can't even imagine. You will then understand that it is your choice whether to rely on the human will with all of its flaws and limitations, or to use the inner mind to tap into the endless possibilities. You have a wonderful power that you can use if you choose to understand, respect, and identify it. This is the science account of that power. In this fourth part, a way to consciously use this all-powerful power is explained. Visualization is the process of making pictures in your mind. The picture is like a mold or model that will help your future come together. Make the design beautiful and easy to see. Don't be scared. Make it big. Never forget that you are the only one who can limit your own progress. You are not limited by money or supplies. Seek your source in the universe. Think about it and make it real in your mind before it shows up anywhere else. Make sure the picture is clear and accurate. Keep it clear in your mind, and it will bring the thing closer over time. Don't forget that you can be anything you want to be. This is another well-known psychological fact, but reading about it won't help you in any way. Making the mental picture won't help you at all, let alone making it real. Only a very small number of people are willing to put in the work, persistence, and mental strength needed to do it. Ideation is the first step. It's also the most important step because it's the plan you'll use to build. It has to be strong and last forever. When the builder plans a 30-story building, he or she has thought about every line and detail from the start. Before putting up a bridge over a chasm, the expert has to figure out what 1,000,000 different forces need. Just like you will picture what you want before you take the first step, they see the end. You need to know what you will get before you plant the seed. That's what idealization is. If you're not sure, sit in the chair every day until the picture becomes clear. It will grow over time. The general plan will be rough at first, but it will start to take shape. First, the idea will form, then the details. Over time, you'll gain the skills to make plans that will come true in the real world. You will learn about what lies ahead for you. The next step is to visualize these things. You need to get a better look at the picture. Pay attention to the details, and as they start to show you the shape and how to make it real, it will appear. Things will flow into each other. The mind will move the body to act. Actions will lead to new ways. Ways will help people become friends. Friends will bring about good luck. And the third step, materialization, will have been completed. It is clear to everyone that the universe had to be thought out before it could exist. Also, if we are ready to listen to the great designer of the universe, our thoughts will come to life in the same way that the universe did. It is the same thought that is working through each person. Things are the same in terms of kind and quality. The only change is level. The builder thinks about his building and pictures it the way he wants it to be. His mind turns into a shape that the building will finally come out of, no matter how tall, short, pretty, or boring it is. On paper, his ideas come to life. Finally, the right materials are used, and the building is finished. The creator has the same picture in his head of his idea. Take Nikola Tesla as an example. She was one of the smartest and most important creators of all time. This man made the most amazing realities come true. Before he started working on an idea, he always saw it in his mind. Tesla did not rush to make them real and then waste time fixing mistakes. After making the thought in his mind, he kept it there as a mental picture that he could use to think about and improve. This way, he writes in his book, The Electrical Experimenter, I am enabled to quickly develop and refine a concept without touching anything. When I have advanced far enough to incorporate in the invention every possible improvement I can think of and see no faults in it, I turn the product of my brain into something concrete. Invariably, my design works as I conceived it should, and for 20 years I have found no exception. If you can carefully follow these steps, you will grow faith, the kind of faith that is the substance of things you hope for and the proof of things you haven't seen. You will also gain confidence, the kind of confidence that helps you be strong and brave. You will improve your ability to focus, which will let you block out all thoughts except those that are related to your goal. It is the law that what you think will come true, and only someone who knows how to become the God-thinker of his own ideas can speak up as the master. Holding the picture in your thoughts over and over again is the only way to get clarity and confidence. Each repeat makes the picture clearer and more accurate than the last. The appearance will be as clear and accurate as the image. Before it can happen in the real world, you have to build it strong and solid in your mind, in your inner world. And without the right materials, you can't build anything useful, not even in your mind. When you have the right stuff, you can make anything. Just make sure you have the right stuff. You can't fix a broken dress to look nice. Millions of quiet mental workers will make this stuff and turn it into the shape of the picture you have in your head. Take a look. There are more than 5 million of these ready-to-use brain cells in your body. They are called neurons. In addition to this, there is another backup force of at least an equivalent number ready to be called into action at the smallest need. Your power to think, then, is almost unlimited, and this means that your power to make the kind of stuff that is necessary to build for yourself any kind of setting you wish is nearly unlimited. Along with these millions of mental workers, the body has billions of mental workers, and each one is smart enough to understand and act on any message or thought it gets. The body is being made and fixed by all of these cells. They also have mental power that they can use to bring in everything they need to grow perfectly. They do this by the same rule and in the same way that all living things draw to themselves the things they need to grow. The oak, the rose, and the lily all need certain things to grow in the best way. They get them by silently asking for them, which is the most effective way for you to get what you need for your full growth. Make the mental picture clear, precise, and perfect. Hold it tight, and the way will show up. The supply will follow the call. You'll be shown the right thing to do at the right time and the right way. A true wish will lead to a sure hope, which needs to be backed up by a firm request. The true wish is the feeling, the sure hope is the thought, and the strong request is the will. Together, they always bring about success. As we've seen, the thought gets life from the feeling, and the will holds it in place until the law of growth makes it real. Isn't it wonderful that man has such immense power within him and doesn't know it? Isn't it strange that we've always been told to find strength and power outside of ourselves? We've been taught to look outside of ourselves instead, and whenever this power shows up in our lives, we're told it's from beyond this world. Many people today understand this great power and try very hard to take care of their health, power, and other things, but they keep failing. It looks like they can't make the law work. Most of the time, the problem is that they are looking at the outside world. They want money, power, good health, and plenty. But they don't understand that these things are results that will only come once the cause is found. People who don't care about the outside world will only look for truth and wisdom, and they will find that this wisdom will show them the source of all power, which will show up in their thoughts and actions in ways that make the outside world what they want it to be. This truth will be shown through good intentions and brave actions. Only make ideas. Don't think about what's going on outside. If you make your inner world beautiful and rich, the outside world will reflect what's inside you. You will learn that you have the power to make ideas, and those ideals will be sent out into the world of effects. Take the case of a man who is in debt. He will keep focusing on his debt and thinking about it all the time. Because thoughts lead to actions, he will not only keep the debt, but he will also make it worse by taking on more debt. Because he is using the great law of attraction, what will happen is, what will happen? Loss leads to even more loss. So, what is the right principle? Do the things you want instead of the things you don't want. When you think of abundance, picture perfect ways and plans to use the law of abundance. Picture the situations that the rule of wealth makes possible. This will lead to appearance. If the law works perfectly to bring poverty, lack, and all kinds of limitations to people who think about lack and fear all the time, then it will also work perfectly to bring conditions of plenty and wealth to people who think about courage and power all the time. This is a problem that many people find hard to solve. Because we are too worried, we show worry, fear, and stress. We need to help and do something. We are like a kid who plants a seed and then checks on it every 15 minutes to see if it's growing. The seed will never grow in these conditions, of course, and this is exactly what many of us do in our minds. We need to plant the seed and not touch it for a while. There is no way that we will just sit around and do nothing. We will do more and better work than ever before. There will always be new stations. There will be new doors. You just need to keep an open mind and be ready to act when the time comes. The power of thought is the most powerful way to learn, and if it is focused on a single subject or object, it can solve any problem. It is possible for people to understand everything, but they have to learn how to control their thoughts so they do what they want. Remember that your thoughts are the fire that makes the steam that turns the wheel of fortune, which your experiences are based on. Ask yourself a few questions and then wait with awe for the replies. Do you always know who you are inside? Do you stand up for yourself, or do you go along with the crowd? Keep in mind that masses never lead, they only follow. What happened to the people who fought hard against the steam engine, the automatic loom, and every other new idea or improvement at the time? This week's task is to picture a friend. Look at him the same way you did the last time. Look at the room and its furniture, and remember what was said. Look at his face now. Make it clear. Now, talk to him about something that interests both of you. Look at how his face changes. Look at him smile. Could you do it? Sure, go ahead and do it. So, get his attention. Tell him an exciting story. See how his eyes light up with happiness or excitement. Are you able to do everything? If so, you have a good mind and are making great progress. Part 4 of the study questions and answers. What does imagery mean? The act of making mental pictures. What do you get when you think this way? If we keep the mental picture or image in our minds, we can slowly but surely bring it closer to us. We have the power to be anything we want. What does idealization mean? Visualizing or idealizing plans that will finally come true in the real world is what planning is. Why do we need truth and certainty? Because seeing makes you feel, and feeling makes you be. First the mental, then the emotions, and finally the endless ways to reach your goal. How do you go about getting these? Each time the same thing is done, the picture becomes more accurate than the last one. How do you keep the things that make up your mental image safe? Through millions of brain cells known as neurons. How do you make sure that the conditions are right for your dream to come true in the real world? All situations and events come about because of the law of attraction, which is a natural law. What are the 3 steps that must be taken for this law to work? Sincere desire, sure hope, and faithful desire. Why do so many fail? Why? Because they focus on death, sickness, and bad luck. The law works perfectly, and the bad things they fear happen. What else could you do? Focus on the good things you want to happen in your life.